Hey guys, I've got a new knife I'm going to be testing. It is the Morakniv bushcraft knife. Now, why this knife? Well, I'll tell you. I wanted to get a knife that would be autonomous with my survival pack. In other words, I don't have to hunt around the house looking for a particular knife. It's going to be in there all the time. I wanted a knife that was not only affordable, but from a company that had a really good reputation. And I know Morakniv does that because, one, my most used knife on the planet is my Morakniv Companion. This little knife does 90% plus of everything I need to do either in the house or in the field. It's just been my constant companion for a long time now. But I needed a knife that was more robust than this knife for survival type stuff. If I'm ever really out super far in the bush and I need to depend on a knife to gather firewood and other stuff. So I wanted to search for a knife that was not only high quality but affordable. I'm not a rich guy. I can't justify going out and spending $200–300 for a knife. That would be nice, but that's just not the reality of it. And the things that I test and use every day it's working man's gear. It's not the high-priced flitzy stuff. It's just good, solid value. That's why I use it, and that's why I chose this knife. So let's take a closer look at it and look at some of the features and then put it through some tests. Now, when I was looking at bushcraft knives by Mora, I had to make a few decisions. And one thing you'll notice on this knife is it has this really obnoxiously orange handle and sheath. Now, I chose that for a reason because I figured if this is a survival knife, I don't want to lose it. I want it to be of a color that if I set it down, I can find it right away. They do make a version that's all black, and I did consider that. But I figured this, for its intended purpose, was the best choice. This knife also has a stainless steel blade. I really do prefer carbon steel as opposed to stainless steel, but I figured as a survival knife, this edge will ultimately be more durable. And obviously you don't want it rusting and corroding any more than it has to in the field anyway. The blade length is about 4.2 inches long, just over 4 inches, and the spine of the knife is 130 thousandths thick. I measured it with my calipers and it came out to about 127. That's just probably inaccuracy on my part. It's a much more robust with the blade than the Companion is, which measures out about 75 thousandths. So this blade is not quite twice as thick as my Companion knife. This blade is much better for batoning wood, which is probably going to be its main use is wood preparation. It also has a Scandi grind, which means basically for people who don't know the difference in grinds, this is perhaps the easiest grind to maintain. Now the handle is made out of a fairly dense but also kind of cushy material. I don't know what this is, but it does provide a very, very firm grip. The sheath itself, although I don't know that this is Kydex, it is a Kydex type material. The sheath also has a ferro rod, which when you pull this out you can see all those little fingers grip onto the ferro rod very securely, and it's also got a little tab at the top to keep it in place. This little rubbery thing, this is actually a hair scrunchie. I added this myself. It's not part of the sheath, but I like these as opposed to rubber bands to help keeping things secure. They last a lot longer. The sheath also has a diamond sharpening stone so that you don't have to carry a separate stone with you in a situation where you're in the field with minimal gear. I guess you would call this the belt loop. Does swivel, I guess you would say. I would prefer to have this be fixed, but that's just the way they made it, and we'll just deal with that. Now the knife does lock into the sheath very securely. I don't think I would worry about that falling out. It's quite secure. Also on the plastic sheath, if I look down and find it, on my Mora Companion, it clicks in as well. And this knife is about 14 years old, and it's still very secure. Now let's take this knife out and start using it in a simulated survival situation. We're going to start out with this little pile of wood here that I harvested using my ultimate survival tool saber saw, which is a survival tool that I have a video on, and I will post that down in the description area underneath this video if you want to watch that. We're going to start preparing some of this wood to start a fire, and we're going to be using, of course, the Mora bushcraft knife. Try to find wood. It's hard for me to narrate and do this because I sound all but try to find wood that doesn't have a lot of knots in it, or any knots preferably, because all they do is get in your way and slow you down. Very difficult to split. Also, keep your lengths a little on the short side. These lengths I have here, you don't really need to baton this for any reason for your fire. You're just basically looking to split this down and get material to get your fire going. There's no reason when you're building a campfire to split this down any less than this. It's just what we're trying to do is just get us some fire starting material. Now when you're filing shavings, pick the cleanest end possible without any knots or any obstructions. Something that'll get in and cause your knife to go awry. You're looking to get the cleanest, finest little shavings you can get. So pick through your batoned down wood and just make nice tiny little feathery notches, curlicues, whatever you want to call them. Make lots and lots of them. Better to have too many. Make fine shavings, a little bit bigger shavings, all sorts of different sizes. Like I say, make too many, just in case. Hold your knife fairly flat to the wood you're shaving down, and that'll give you the finer curlicues, of course. Now I decided to overdub here just a little bit and do some narration on this. This is a small dead white spruce tree that I located. There are actually quite a few of them in the area. You'll notice how this tree is bouncing around as I'm batoning it. To be honest with you, this is not something you would probably have to do up here with in Alaska with a small white spruce tree like this. Generally when they die this small, you can break them right off at ground level just by giving them a good shove or a good pull. You can see the way it's bouncing. I'm actually having to kind of pull my punches just a little bit. I was afraid while I was doing this that it was just going to tip right over. Here, and I'm trying to get a decent bit of footage of actually batoning a tree. Now, we've had so much beetle kill up here that I didn't want to cut down a live tree. You wouldn't be cutting down a live tree anyway. But the fact of the matter is that most of the trees up here this size, you wouldn't even have to do this. I included it because I just wanted to show that the knife was capable of doing it, and I really wish I would have been able to find a tree that was more securely attached to the ground, because you can see the way it's just bouncing around that it wants to basically tip over, and I'm actually quite surprised that it didn't do that, to be honest with you. But that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. If it would have tipped over, obviously I would have had to have found another tree, but it wouldn't have been any better than this tree. And that's just the way it is. Now, if you're in the lower 48 or somewhere else, you're going to be using different trees, obviously, or probably, I should say, for your survival situation, and you're going to know your trees better than I do. This white spruce tree like this, there's tons of them around here, and these are the trees you're going to be using to keep your fire going and getting it started, as opposed to birch. But anyway, that's just me wanting to explain the situation as far as this tree goes. You know, it's like, man, I could probably be doing this for a week, try to find a tree that isn't going to tip over as I'm batoning it, because quite honestly, like I said, I could have just broken this bugger off right at the ground, and that's what you can do with almost all of them. So, but anyway, I'll let you get back to just watching me hammer away at this little tree. It took about 3 minutes to do it. That's probably a little excessive, maybe, but like I said, I was kind of fighting the fact that the tree just wanted to tip over anyway. But anyway, let's get back to the video. We're going to do it with this bird this time. We didn't do it with the other one. We're going to actually separate the body a bit, disjoint it. We're going to cut the legs off. Whoop. Separate it from the back. Just try to find that joint there. And the rest will go in like that. We got to wash it one more time, obviously. And we're going to throw it in the pot. And, oh, I forgot a wing, but I'll just leave that on there. I took the wing off when I initially cleaned the first one, when I cleaned it the first time. So anyway, we will throw that in the pot and do a repeat of the dinner we did the other night, because it was so darn good. And here I am using the Morakniv survival bushcraft to slice up grouse breast. Works good for that as well. Get around that breastbone a little bit. After all, you will be eating out in the sticks. That's one of the best ways to survive, is to consume calories. Okay, let's try to get just a little bit of a fire going here. Oop, got my kindling a little too close to the fire. I might have smothered that a little bit too much, but we're using birch bark. Now that'll go good. And there you have it. The ferro rod seems to work just as described. Nothing like the smell of birch bark. I tell you, it's very, very distinctive. If you've never smelled it before. Very smoky too. But there you have her. The Morakniv survival bushcraft ferro rod works perfectly. One thing I'll mention though is when you first use this, it'll be coated. It'll be black or dark, and I don't know if that is a cover that they purposely put on there, but you got to kind of scratch that off first. So just take your knife and go and create sparks and get that all nice and shiny, and it works much better. Boy, we're getting all smoked out. Let's turn this thing off. Now I can't wrap up this field test without mentioning the sharpening stone. This diamond sharpening stone did everything it was supposed to do. It is embedded in the sheath, of course. It is on the small side, I will admit, and it is a diamond stone, which I don't, excuse me, have a lot of experience with. I have oil stones and whetstones. This stone seemed to be a little coarse when I first started using it, but maybe that's just part of the manufacturing process. It smoothed right out right away. Like I said, it's a little slow to use because it is so small and it is attached to the sheath, but it got the job done. Now, I did not sharpen the knife itself. I wanted to see how the knife would perform over a period of time as opposed to just using it once and then touching it up. Now, I did sharpen two knives. Hold on, let me go get them. Here they are. This first knife I sharpened is a little knife that I've used to skin a bear, and it's a good little skinning knife. It is a cold steel Canadian belt knife, and it's a good little knife, stainless steel blade, so it has the same characteristics as the Mora, and it sharpened up quite nicely. I've been kind of neglecting this knife for a while. In fact, I don't think I've used it since I skunned the bear. And here's another knife I use from time to time. It hasn't really skun anything big, but this is the cold steel fin bear. This is also a great little skinning knife, and it was also in need of attention. And the stone did well, although it was, like I said, it was slow. It wasn't anything like a stone like this, which is my primary stone. Of course, you're not going to have something like this probably in a survival situation. When you get into a survival situation, it kind of happens to you. It's not something you go out and do, right? I consider it like involuntary bushcraft, I guess you would say. The one thing about this knife, it performed exactly like I would hope it would. It didn't fail in any regard. You saw I processed some game with this. I did a lot of batoning of firewood over the course of a week. I used it almost exclusively to split up my kindling for the wood stove, and it performed really well. Now, my primary wood up here that I use is white spruce because I have so much of it, and most of it is pre-seasoned. It's standing dead, and it is a straight-grained wood, but it also has a lot of imperfections in it. It grows burls, which interrupt the flow of the wood, and also it tends to be very branchy, so you have a lot of knots in the wood. And if you know anything about trees, you know that the branch actually grows from inside the tree, not from the surface. So you have basically the equivalent of a hair follicle inside the wood. And there can be some really tough batoning with spruce, even though it's such a straight-grained softwood. And you'll see that on the beginning of the video where I was starting to baton, that I actually had to resort to actually pounding on this handle just to make sure that the blade was going to get through all of those little knots in there that was really starting to slow me down. I was getting a little paranoid, to be honest with you. I'm going, this doesn't look good, but I figured why not include it in the video, because it shows the knife in a more realistic situation as opposed to it just being easy peasy, right? So I ended up batoning the handle as well as the blade just to work the knife through all the rough spots. And I was afraid that it was going to damage the handle somehow, thinking, well, you know, we're in this for the long haul, I guess. But if you take a look, after all that batoning, there's no damage to the handle at all, other than dirt. These little grooves, I thought they would be smashed, and I didn't know what to think. I think, man, was this going to be what kills a knife as far as the review goes? But it handled it great. So I have no reserve about batoning the handle itself as well as the blade to work through some rough spots in wood. That's what really surprised me about this knife. Everything else, you know, because I am more a fan, I wasn't really surprised about the way the knife functioned, except for the handle. The handle just I'm losing my train of thought. Can you tell? I do this for a living, you know. It just went through with flying colors, and I just was really pleased. Like I said, I was a little scared, to be honest with you, but the knife performed great. It is going in my survival pack, and if I am ever in need of surviving, I know this knife will do the job for me. Now, over the course of the last week to 10 days, as I was field testing this knife, it performed everything it was supposed to do. I have no complaints about it whatsoever. Of course, I am a fan of Morakniv, so there you go. But I wouldn't use this knife if I didn't think it was up to snuff. It is available for about $55 on Amazon. Now, if you'll go down below this video in the description area, right underneath where you're watching now, you'll see a link to Amazon, and that'll take you directly to this knife and other Morakniv products. If you were to go on there using that link and buy this product or one of their other products, I will get a small commission from Amazon. It won't add anything to the cost of the knife on your end. That's all taken care of by Amazon. That would go a long ways towards helping me stay on my land, upgrade my equipment, repair broken equipment, which there's a lot of all the time, feed my dogs, all that other good stuff. If you would do that, I would very much appreciate it. It'll help me continue making videos and taking you along on the ride and recommending products that I think are very worthwhile, products that are economical, affordable, durable, and things that I will actually carry with me in the field when I go out. But anyway, I hope you found the video informative, answering the questions you might have on this product here, and maybe mildly entertaining as well. That would also be nice. But anyway, I appreciate you watching the video. Check out that link below on Amazon, and just wait for the next video. Got a lot of stuff coming up. Thanks so much. Please subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.